It's called Wet Cat. Check it out sometime. Give it up for Izzy DeRosa.
Hi, how are you guys? Good. I'm very excited to be here. I was talking to my mom earlier. I was letting her know I was doing a comedy show. She was not nearly as excited. She was like, I don't understand why you keep wasting your time going to these clown nights when you have more important things to do. I was like, all right, Mom, clown night, that is very insulting because you know I don't have a car or that many friends. Yeah, my mom is very particular about all the things that I do, and she's foreign and Catholic, so if I disappoint her, I feel twice the guilt. I graduated with my master's earlier this year, and at my grad ceremony, she was like, I am proud of you, but very excited for you to go to law school. I know. And like, I don't want to say that I agree, but in that moment, I understood why so many people want stricter immigration laws. Because she's got to go. But no, tough love is how I know my mom wants what's best for me, and we had a conversation a few years back. I was in like a really difficult place, and she was like, look, life gets really hard sometimes. When I was a teenager, I left everyone and everything I knew behind, came to a new country where I didn't speak the language and didn't have anyone. But I did that because I knew I wanted to give my kids a better life than I had. And honestly, I found that very inspiring because I know my mom has done that because I have done SoulCycle. For those of you not familiar with SoulCycle, that is one of those very overpriced spin classes, which is honestly kind of the American dream. And the studio is like so beautiful. You walk in, everything is white with yellow highlights, which is both the decor and the clientele. Yeah, it's very cool, very Aryan. And it's, you know, it's very cool because it's like a kind of a dance on a bike that you're doing. There's like a lot of choreography involved. It's usually to like a hip hop house music remix. And there's not a lot of places you can go and have like 40 white people all dancing on beat at the same time. But I know that's what my mom wanted. When she was in 4th grade, she had to drop out of school to become a farmer and help support her family. And she was probably like tending to crops, thinking there's got to be more to life than this. One day, my daughter is going to pay money to ride a stationary bike with a bunch of women who have no student loan debt. An actually very embarrassing fact about me was when I was at that very low point, I did audition to be a SoulCycle instructor, which is how I knew my life was like at rock bottom because an upgrade was going to be making minimum wage on a bike going nowhere. But that didn't work out for me, so I needed another way to get attention. So I started to do therapy. And therapy has honestly been wonderful. I've had like a few different therapists over the years. I recently just started seeing my very first therapist again. It's nice. It's like convenient, and she already gets me, and like she knows how I work. It's like almost as exciting as getting back together with an ex-boyfriend, but it's healthy for you. And we actually have been talking a lot about patterns in my dating history. I am a woman of color, but I've dated mostly white guys. And she was very curious about that, and she asked me all these like strange questions about it in this like really soft voice. She's like, why do you think it is that you have a great relationship with your father, but you don't really seem to date men that look like him? I'm like, well, that's wicked rude, but the answer's kind of in the question. And then she goes on to say, sometimes people of color will date white people because of their proximity to power. And I was like, wow, Eileen. You need to lower your fucking voice. She's kind of right. And honestly, she would be totally correct if any of the men I've ever dated had any power. Or like even a job. And I don't think it's totally fair. I would say a lot of the guys I've dated have been spicy white. You know? It's like a man you look at and you know he's white, but he might not be circumcised. Yeah. Oh, man. No, I've dated a lot of white guys who think it's cool to say things like, yeah, I just don't really find white women attractive. Which is like definitely a bunch of people who are lying to themselves. And it's a red flag, honestly. You know, very red, white, and blue flag. It's like a guy who's just like looking to study abroad, you know? He wants this like very Americanized version of a foreign country, only to come back and settle down inside the Midwest. Oh man. Yeah. So I work with with kids. I have spent the past year and a half working in an elementary school. It's very hard for me, but it's making me a better person because I'm much more pro-choice now. I do believe that right is important and encouraged. No, honestly, second graders are just the meanest fucking people on the planet. Yeah, like even when they think that they're being kind, they are so disrespectful. One of my students decided he wanted to start paying the teachers to use technology. So I was like, why do you want to do that? And he was like, well, I know that teachers don't make a lot of money. I was like, oh, how do you know that? He was like, well, I told my mom you hadn't had your hair done in a while, and she said that's why. Yeah. And then to make matters worse, he took his student ID and he swiped it in the wrinkle line of my forehead. So not only am I broke, but I'm also aging poorly. I had another student who gets like so competitive, and he got really upset with me when he was tagged out in Simon Says. Probably important to note that I do teach special ed, so I did have to explain that for quite a while. And this kid got really upset. He was like, I think that you did this on purpose. I think you're targeting me. You just went from being a teacher to a cheater. Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, this kind of does suck, because now I know you're funnier than I am. But I had one student last year who was the most challenging kid I think I will ever work with in my entire life. He would like run around the school and make me chase him. He would throw things at other kids. He would try to pick fights with people, and he would say some of the nastiest things. And one day, he really got under my skin. He looked at me and was like, I don't even know why you're here. You're not a real teacher. You're just the teacher's bitch. Yeah, I know. And that actually upset me so much that I left the room and cried, because I was a student teacher, so he wasn't wrong. But then I was like, okay, I'm also an adult. I'm going to get back in there and just do my job. But the minute I walked back in, he's like, why are your eyes watering? Did I make you cry? So I lied and told him that my grandma died, because I will never admit defeat to an 8-year-old. But then that backfired, because a few days later he was like, hey, remember when your grandma died? And I just kind of lost my fucking mind and was like, hey, remember when I brought you to the nurse because you pooped yourself? Whose eyes are watery now? All right, you guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.